Trust me when I say the irony of me sitting down to film this video with the green juice is not lost on me. The irony of me filming a video about everything that's wrong with the fitness industry and I'm sat with a green juice. It's comical. You couldn't write this shit. This video, we could be here all day with this video. I have a lot that I want to talk about to do with the fitness industry. And this video has actually been inspired by, I cannot remember her name, but I'm going to leave the video linked below because it's a really good video and I feel like the way that she articulated her thoughts, it's very similar to how I've been feeling the past year. So I will leave that link down below. Full credit to her for sparking the idea of even doing a video on this because I thought maybe no one would be interested, and now I'm like, actually no. Even if like 3 people are interested, it's something that I want to speak about. Okay, before I get into this video, I'm just going to pop this disclaimer in here. By the way, as I've edited this, I've made notes about where I could have explained things better. So there's little freeze frames throughout this video of me adding in a little bit more context or information. I just want to give a disclaimer that this video definitely will not, interest some people. Some people will think, just don't be in the fitness industry if you've got a problem, but I want to make it clear, because I don't think I made it clear enough in this video, that there are so many positives to the fitness industry. This video is just about the drawbacks and trying to help people and advise people and make people see a different side to it that you don't always see on social media. For anyone who's either looking to get into it or just interested about it, it's for those people. And let's be honest, if I made a video which was the best things about the fitness industry, it doesn't do well. We're human. We like seeing, the drama, if you will. That's what people want to see. So no, it comes across as though it's just negatives, but trust me, there are so many positives. It's given me a business. It's given me a community. It's given me friends for life, and for that I am forever grateful. It's given me inspiration. It's given me so much, and I'm so grateful for that. This video is just about the drawbacks, but I wanted to pop this in here just to disclaim that there are so many positives. Another one, like I said, about the community that we have on here, I'm so grateful for, and it is the fitness industry that has given me that. So yeah, for context, hi, if you don't watch my videos or this is the first video you've watched of me, I am in the fitness industry. I'm an online coach. I do social media stuff. I work with Alphalete. My pages aren't huge, but I am within the fitness industry. And the past year, 2022, was a year of eye-opening for me with the fitness industry. Up until last year, I was very much like happy, la-di-da, let's just, I didn't really have any issues up until last year. And you only need to go on YouTube and look at literally search things like the lies behind the fitness industry. The fitness industry is toxic. Why I left the fitness industry, why I stopped being a fitness influencer, to realise that within the fitness industry there's a lot of bullshit and there's also a lot of pressure. And in this video I kind of want to talk about what it's like to be a woman specifically in the fitness industry, because we are told, and men in the fitness industry will constantly say that it's so much easier for women. All they need to do is have an ass and then they can have a following and they can get sponsorships, and it's so much harder for men. And to an extent, because we've got to be fair here, I understand where they're coming from. However, first of all, it's just very misogynistic to assume the only reasons a woman could possibly have a following is because she has a bum. God forbid it could be for her brain. So that comment does rub me the wrong way, knee-jerk reaction, it rubs me the wrong way. But second of all, I would actually argue that it's a lot harder as a woman in the fitness industry to gain the right following for that reason, because our bodies are so sexualized, and you can sit and say people are sexualizing themselves, and I'm not going to defend every single woman's fitness content because some of it is questionable. There is some stuff that I do look at and I do think, who is this being posted for? But also, it's none of my business. If they want to have more of a male audience because they have things like OnlyFans where they can monetize that audience, then that's fine. Who the fuck am I to judge? I don't really care. But I'm also talking about just the fact that like a woman posting her gym progress, if it's to do with glutes, will automatically be seen as sexual. I would argue men in the fitness industry tend to wear a lot less clothing than women do, but they don't get sexualized in the same way. Their comments will be filled with like men being like, oh, how did you do this, bro? Like, and that's amazing. So happy for them. So happy for them. But when women tend to do it, you can end up attracting the wrong audience. And that kind of brings me on to the first thing I want to discuss, which is it's so hard as a woman to grow the right following within the fitness industry, because even if you have the best intentions with your content and you try to make it as, it sounds so stupid to say, but you try to make it as non-sexual as possible, like you film from like non-dodgy, could be perceived as dodgy angles, you do all the right things, your videos, your photos, your content can still end up on a very, very, very dark side of social media. My content has at some points ended up on a very, very dark side of social media, and I think it was 2020, I want to say, where my hauls and stuff were ending up on the wrong side of YouTube. And since then I've changed the way that I go about doing my hauls, and I've changed the way that I thumbnail them in particular to try and avoid that. But even doing that, like I've got thumbnails where I've not even put my body in the thumbnail and it's still got a load of weirdos watching it and a load of weird comments. And just on the topic of using bodies in thumbnails, I really want to drive home the point that we are all visual creatures. And when you are making educational content for fitness things, for, you know, how to grow your legs, how to grow your glutes, how to grow your back, how to gain weight, how to lose weight, humans are visual creatures, men and women, regardless, and people want to see proof. So the thumbnails where you put your body in it or you show before and after, they will always do better than not putting your body in it. It can be really hard to get clicks on content without showing that visual proof in your thumbnail. It makes people want to click on it because they can visually see with their eyes you have gone from A to B. You've made the change that they are searching for help for, so it makes them think, oh, this is going to be a trustworthy video, and they will click on it. It's very hard to get that if you're not putting your body in the thumbnail. And it's so hard to grow the right kind of following, and those comments that you can get from those weird men are vile, and it really pisses me off that people think women want that. Like, what? Like, me posting my gym workouts means I want these weird comments. A girl posting her glute progress, a girl posting her gym progress, likely in more clothes than what a man would post his in, means that they want those comments or they're appeasing that audience. I don't doubt that some people do put their content out there to appease a certain audience, and that's fine, but the assumption that it's almost like an assumption that anyone who's in shape, and I hate that phrase, but in shape and posts their gym content is posting it for the wrong reasons, and it's just weird to me. And it's so hard to grow the right following, and people will complain on one hand that the fitness industry is too much about glutes and too much about this and too much about that, but most of the content that's not to do with that doesn't do as well, and I know that firsthand. Okay, here I feel like it's been a good week to do this video, because I actually have a really good comparison of what I'm talking about here with the sort of content that does better on certain platforms. So my TikTok, I've been posting more recently, and I've had a couple videos about therapy, nothing to do with fitness, do really well. However, when it comes to like fitness content I've posted, anything to do with glutes gets way more traction than any other muscle group. So for example, here is a screenshot of I did this like 3 days ago, a TikTok that I made on a whim about growing your upper glute region, because I had a good progress picture for it, and it is something that I have been working on. So I put this up, and pretty much automatically picked up by the algorithm, pushed out loads of likes, loads of favorites. I've gained like 1,800 followers just off the back of that video. Now look at this TikTok, which was about leg development, growing your quads, and the engagement is way less. It got pushed out nowhere near as much. And it's only one example. I should probably do like a full case study to really make a point, but I am sure that other people who work in the fitness industry can like agree with this. And I'm not saying that upper body content or leg content or calf content or any fitness content that's not about glutes never does well, because sometimes it does. There's an odd chance it'll get picked up by the algorithm, and there will be good examples of this. There will be upper body videos with millions of views, and that's great. I'm just talking about generally, because in my opinion that's not the standard. That's kind of an outlier. And also I just want to include the screenshot of the demographics from the glute video that I did on TikTok this week, because I just want to show that it can sometimes end up on the right side. Don't blindly assume that every single glute video is just being watched by creepy men, because that's not true. Things can end up on the right side. So I'm trying to make people aware of what can happen and what can commonly happen, but I don't want it to put anyone off making any glute content whatsoever, because there is definitely the female audience for that. Like, it's the most requested thing from women. So yeah, don't be disheartened and think that you can never make glute content. You can. It really is luck of the draw which side it ends up on. Like, people can say all they like, they're sick of like glute videos and all that sort of stuff, but like, it's the most requested content, and it's not requested from men, it's requested from women who want help, and that's fine. But it's this is such like a rambly video, but I feel like it's such a catch-22, because then your stuff, when you post that sort of content, even if it's the most educational content, can end up on a really fucking weird side of social media, and then you end up with this following that you don't want. And then let's say you've gone into the industry and you did have, you know, a goal of working with brands. When they ask for your like audience gender split, they're gonna turn you down, because it's gonna be like way too many men and not enough women, because you're not gonna be selling gym clothes to men. You might be, but the likelihood is if a fitness wear brand or any brand has reached out to you, it's because they want you to sell their women's products, because that's what you're going to be wearing. And it's so fucking annoying. Like, it's so fucking annoying. So that's the first thing with the fitness industry. I hate this notion that like, oh, it's so much easier for women because they can just use their body. Yeah, they can use their body, but 9 times out of 10 you're going to end up with the wrong audience from doing that. It's actually really fucking hard. I'm becoming increasingly cautious that this video could come across as very like, oh, boo-hoo, poor fitness influencers. Like, let's be honest, it's not like a job that you end up with out of desperation. It's, you know, a very, very, very privileged position to be in. So I do think it's important to know that I know that some people might not see social media as a legitimate business, but it is. And influencing aside, people run online coaching businesses, or they use it to market their personal training in the fitness industry. So this sort of stuff affects all women in the fitness industry. Yeah, it's just important to note that it's not just influencers who get impacted by this. It's people who are doing personal training and all that sort of stuff as well. It's like a women-wide fitness industry issue, basically. It's actually really fucking hard to build the right audience, especially on certain platforms. I would argue TikTok and YouTube, it's very hard. There's a lot of weird people on here, and I don't want this to come across as though I'm bashing men, because I have no issues with men consuming my content. I have no issues with men consuming anyone's content. Consume whatever content you want. I take issue with the men who leave vile comments under people's TikToks, under people's YouTube videos, because that's just disgusting. Like, I hate that I even have to phrase it in this way, but if you are one of those people, imagine someone leaving those comments under your daughter's content. You wouldn't like it. You know it's weird. I don't understand why you do it. So that's point number one. You can sit and say as much as you like, oh, it's so much easier for women. I actually think it's harder for us to build the right audience. I feel like men, in order to get like a predominantly female audience, really need to go out of their way to cater to a female audience. And I'm open to discussions on this. If you're a man in the fitness industry, please leave a comment and let me know what your experience has been. And I'm also not saying men don't get sexualized, because I don't doubt that some men get horrible comments from weird women, and it definitely does happen. I'm just speaking as a woman, and from what I see, I follow men and I follow women, and I see a very different response to certain things. That's all I'm saying. The second thing is body image and social media, the kind of like aesthetic side of the fitness industry. Up until 2022, it's not something I've really struggled with. I will be completely honest, I've always kind of felt like I kind of fitted in. I've never felt like I didn't fit in, so I don't want this to come across as, oh, I had a year of feeling like I didn't fit in, poor me. Because I know that some people go their entire lives feeling like they don't belong in a certain space, when no one should have to feel like that. But up until 2022, I kind of felt like, yeah, like I was comfortable in the space. I was comfortable being in the fitness industry. And then last year, I had like the worst year of my life when it comes to body image and self-worth issues and comparison. And my like vice in terms of what made it worse was TikTok as a social media platform. TikTok pushes out the like insane transformations, the like big 3-month transformations, the extremes of the extremes. It pushes out the people who've got like the ittiest, bittiest, tittiest of waists with like the biggest, roundest badonkadonks of badonkadonks, the bundas that truly bunda, and the extremes of things. And for the first time last year, I found myself feeling like I don't fit in this industry anymore. Like, it's so hard to explain. I just felt like I don't fit in here anymore. Like, I'm not super lean. I'm petite in like my waist and all that sort of stuff. I'm not gonna say that I'm not, but I have more of a soft look to my body rather than being super lean. So I don't fit in with like the super lean girlies. And then I also don't fit in with like the you know, top genetic for like muscle growth and like fat positioning. I don't fit in with that either. And it felt like all I was seeing was either super lean people, like the long lean Pilates girlies, or like the people who, to be honest, look like they've had a BBL but probably actually haven't. They've just got really good genetics and they work hard. I'm not taking that away from them. They work hard, but they've also got insane genetics that allow them to maintain the ittiest, bittiest, tittiest of waist whilst having the badonkadonks of badonkadonks. I don't have that. I have relatively decent genetics for like certain things, but the first time I found myself feeling like not proud of my body, I was like, oh no, like it's not enough. Like I don't look, I felt like I didn't fit in with either of the standards that was being pushed last year. Now I know that some people will think you do fit in, but if you've ever had like body image issues, you'll know it's actually not that much to do with how your body looks. It's more to do with what's going on internally. And I was just struggling last year. Like I really struggled. And I feel like whilst I was struggling, I started to probably be like hyper sensitive and hyper aware of the kind of content that does well in the fitness industry and the kind of body ideals that get pushed. And first of all, I accept some responsibility in perpetuating this because I have done a lot of glute growth content on my channel, and I'm just going to say straight up, that's not going to stop because first of all, I find glute growth content fascinating. Like the science behind it, I love. The education behind it, I love. And it will never not be something that I love, regardless of whether people tell me it's wrong or whatever. It is just something that I have a keen interest in. And it's something that a lot of my clients want to work on. So that's never going to go away in my content. It's just not going to go away. Maybe less of a focus on it, yes, but it's not going to go away. At the end of the day, it does well and it's what people want to see, and I do enjoy doing that content, so I don't mind.
Just want to pop in a little note here to also kind of elaborate on the fact that you have to title videos in a certain way to do well on YouTube and TikTok. So people can complain that, you know, fitness influencers might do misleading titles sometimes, like, you know, how to get an hourglass figure, but as long as they've explained in that video that, you know, you're not necessarily changing your bone structure or gonna have an hourglass, you're more creating the illusions by like building your back, building your lower body. I don't have an issue with that. People need to cut people some slack because you have to title your videos in a certain way in order to get people to click on them. So it's important to keep that in mind. If you ever wonder why, you know, fitness videos tend to be titled a certain way, that is why, because you have to think, what are people actually going to want to be clicking on? Now, the most important thing in my opinion is the content you've put in that video, but we've all got to play the game of doing, you know, maybe not so great titles that might play into the body trends and the standard, but that's to get the clicks, because it's going to get the clicks, and then you can put the right message out there.
I have posted a lot of heavily glute focused content, and a lot of the fitness content to do with women is heavily glute focused, and that's not inherently a problem, but I feel like we should probably ask questions about what this is telling people, because I feel like in some ways the past year it's either been the long lean Pilates girlies, or it's been, you know, slim thick. And just to be like brutally, just to speak frankly here, I've worked with so many women, not everyone is built to have the kind of slim thick look, and because of the way that algorithms work and the content that gets pushed out, you think it's everyone who has this look who trains, and it's actually not. It's a very, very, very small percentage, but because it's all you see, you perceive that to be how everyone that works out looks. And I can tell you from coaching women, that is not how everyone looks. Some people do not have the genetics to hold a large amount of, they can't even grow that much muscle. They can grow muscle in their glutes, but they can't grow that much muscle, and they have naturally very like straight midsections, and that's just how they're built, and there's nothing wrong with that. But somewhere along the way, in kind of trying to be a bit more body positive and kind of not just focusing on people being skinny and people training for, you know, cardio bunnies and all that sort of stuff, we've kind of come too far maybe the other way, to the point where now people feel discomfort, or people feel like they don't fit in, or people having body image issues in a completely different way. You know, growth of like the slim thick body trend, it was meant to be, and it had the best intentions of being more like body positive and making people feel better, but I feel like it's actually ended up making a lot of people feel less than. And I understand, like with body trends, you don't have to conform to it, like there's internal work that we can all do, and I fully accept that. We can't blame everything on like social media algorithms, how other people look. Like, that's not fair to put that on them. We have to take a level of responsibility. I have to take a level of responsibility in the way that I feel about how I look. I feel like it's a very specific type of body positivity, because it's like, oh yeah, big bums and curves are in, but you also need to have a super flat stomach. And for 99% of people, maybe not 99% of people, for the vast majority of women, that's going to be a very, very, very hard look to maintain. And you know, having a big bum with a super flat stomach and a tiny waist is not achievable for a lot of people, because it's just not a lot of people are built like that naturally. And then that brings me on to like, I mean, I've done a video before about like photo editing and manipulation, which a lot of people in the fitness space do. I hate to break it to you, but they do. And that's fine. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But it's no surprise really that people are ending up with like severe body image issues. Then on top of that, you've got people who have surgery and won't disclose it. This is a topic that I find a little bit difficult, because I don't really know how I feel about telling people that they absolutely have to disclose work that they've had done. If you've had something like a BBL and you're making out like that came from the gym, and you've completely changed your body shape with said BBL, that is irresponsible if you have followers and you are telling them that you did that in the gym, because you know that's not possible. You know that's not going to happen. You know that that didn't happen for you, and that's probably why you got the BBL, and that's fine. No judgment here. No judgment here. I've had surgery. No judgment here. But that, to tell people, oh, this is how I did it. It's not how you did it. You paid for surgery, and that's fine, but this is just furthering people's body image issues, especially in the fitness space. I saw a comment under this girl's video, which I'm going to leave a link that I mentioned at the start, and it said something like, it's quite ironic that the health and fitness space is way more about how you look than anything to do with your health. And I do feel like in 2022, I really felt that. Now, I will have the self-awareness to accept that I play a role in that because of the content I have put out, but also because of the content that I consume. Like, your algorithms work based on who you follow, what kind of content you're watching. So clearly I'm going wrong somewhere with there, but I have actually started to click like not interested on certain content because I don't really want to see it on my feed anymore. I want motivational workout content. I almost feel like the standards now are more unattainable for the vast majority of people than like the Cardio Bunny era. I don't know if that's true, but that's kind of how it feels, and maybe that's just how it feels because I'm never going to be someone who looks like they've got a BBL done naturally, because it's just not the way I'm built. I am more on the petite side. I do fit in certain aspects, but I'm never going to have those like wildly big, round, juicy, gorgeous hips. It's just not how I'm built. It's just not how I'm built, and that's fine. And this whole thing with like, you know, don't do glute content because it's gonna attract the wrong audience, but then glute content seems to do well, and like there is like the off chance that it can reach the right audience. It puts people in a really hard spot because I personally feel like a lot of people in the fitness industry would create very different content if all content was pushed equally, if that makes sense. But because it's not, it does drive what people have to post. Like, at the end of the day, an influencer, their boss is kind of you guys, the audience, the people who are on social media, the people who are going to be consuming that content. So they have to make content that you guys want to see. And all people, not all people, because I know that I have followers who aren't interested in that sort of content, but the vast majority of people are very interested in getting like the smallest waist possible and the biggest bum possible. And that's fine, but we can't all have that goal and then actively seek out that content, but then have a go at influencers for just posting that content, because that's the content that does well.
Yeah, here, just referring back to the previous point that I made about like titles and stuff. I know that for me, when I'm titling videos, you have to kind of get in the mindset of what are people going to be searching for, because people are probably not going to be searching for the most realistic things. Like, for example, I've wanted to do a video for ages about like genetics and the kind of slim, thick ideal, and how it's not really possible for everyone to have like, you know, burn loads of fat on their stomach and shrink their waist and grow their bum at the same time. However, people don't want to hear that message. As much as we might think we want realistic advice, people don't want to hear that message. So people are not going to be searching it out for that message. What people would be searching for would be how to keep a small waist and grow my glutes, how to lose stomach fat and grow your glutes. So when I do that video, because I do have the full intention of doing that video and putting that information out there to really try and help people manage their expectations, I'll probably go with a title like that to get people click on it, because I know the people who need to have the message in that video are going to be searching those sort of titles. So it's still reaching the right audience, but you have to play the YouTube game and get into the mind of consumers of fitness content and people that are going to be seeking that out in order to get the right message out there. And it's shit. It's so shit that we have to do that, but that is just the reality.
That is the content that does well, regardless of whether that person built it in the gym, they've got good genetics, or they paid for it. That's the content that we're searching out, and regardless of whether said person is selling you a dream, ultimately they're just putting out the content that you guys want to see. But then it's so fucking hard because this content can end up on the wrong side. Like, I've had videos go on the really wrong side of YouTube before, and the comments have made me cry. They've made me not want to post. It's meant that I've had people subscribing to my channel. I think the worst time was in 2020. I had people subscribing to my channel, and then these angry men would leave comments under my educational videos, which is what I love doing. Even with my reviews, the reason they're so long is because I like to come at them from a consumer perspective and give as much education as possible. Like, education is what sets my soul on fire. Like, that's what I fucking love. And I would get comments under my educational videos where I'm just giving tips and just talking, having a go at me, telling me, just show your body, like, we don't want to hear about this, show your body, get this out, get that out. It's fucking horrible. It's vile what people will say. And I just don't buy this bullshit that it's so much easier for women in the fitness industry. I think men have their own issues within the fitness industry, but I do think that issues for women are in some ways getting worse, not better. Because as much as we think we're moving towards like body positivity with like the slimmer thick trend being in, I actually think it's making it worse for some people. I think body dysmorphia is 100% on the rise, and I think that's a combination of things. It's a combination of like the ideals, the standards, people's expectations from the gym, which 9 times out of 10 they're not realistic. And I'm saying that with the most peace and love possible, but I get people filling out coaching forms saying that they want to look like, and by the way, I absolutely love Bailey. I love this girl so much. She's so nice. Bailey Stewart. She is an absolute little angel, and she will even say to people when they ask her about like her body and stuff, she does speak about genetics. So this is nothing against Bailey whatsoever, but I've had a number of girls put in Bailey down. Obviously these other people are different, like the Kardashians down, they're different because they've had surgery. I know that people think Bailey has had surgery. I personally don't. I just think she works really fucking hard, and she's got amazing genetics which allow her to have the body that she has. And you would be shocked by how many people put Bailey, Kardashians, Lori Harvey's another one, they put that down as their body goals, not realising that these people are either like, or like other favourite influencers, not realising these people are like the top percentage genetically. And I'm saying that lightly because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, if you're saying that's a top percentage genetically, then that is the standard. I'm just saying, like, take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, but that's the best way for me to put it. The top percent genetically, or people that have had surgery, and that's what people are putting down as their body goals. And I will always say to people, you can't go into this industry or start a fitness journey expecting to look like someone else, because you're never going to look like someone else. The chances of you training the same way Bailey does, or even in a way that's more optimal to you and ending up with her results, are very slim. She'll tell you that herself. That's not to put you off trying. That's not to put you off trying to better yourself, trying to grow, trying to get stronger. But the chances are slim. But because these kind of body types are all that we see, we think the chances of that are high, and they're not. And I feel like it's pushing so many young girls into very unrealistic expectations. It is, in my opinion, going to push more people down the surgery route, which I'm not bashing surgery. If you want to get it done, if you want to get a BBL done, obviously please research the risks, but like ultimately you can do what you want to do with your life. It's your body, it's your choice. But I do worry about the body dysmorphia that's come with like this kind of glute slim thick trend. And I do feel like women make being in the fitness industry harder. I feel like a lot of women in the fitness industry can get quite competitive or catty. Even if they're not in the fitness industry, if they consume a lot of that content, women can be our own worst enemies. And I don't like to say that, but we really can be our own worst enemies. We can be very nasty, we can be very judgy. Like, let's just fess up to it, ladies. You know, I had someone say to me the other day that she feels like she's not welcomed in the fitness industry because she feels like everyone's being very cold with her because she doesn't have enough followers, and that makes me so sad. Shit like that shouldn't matter. I know a lot of people that put out like the positive vibes are actually very rude. They pretend to be about a certain thing, but they're actually about a complete other thing. That's very common, and I feel like women are just, sometimes we get in our own way.
Yeah, just to add here, I did actually put an Instagram story up the other day just talking about like just being tired of like mean girl vibes, like mean girl energy, and I was like, I don't know if it's just like the industry I work in or whatever. And I had so many girls replying to my story telling me about their experiences who work in the fitness industry and saying that they feel the same way. They feel like people can be cold sometimes, and it kind of can feel like if you don't have a huge following, people don't really make the same effort with you. A lot of people were saying they did feel that if they had a bigger following, people would make more of a concerted kind of effort with them. But then I suppose that's probably not the kind of people that you want to be friends with anyway. I think a big part of like when I've said about, you know, people want to portray themselves as being super positive and airy-fairy when actually they're different to what they're portraying. I feel like a good way of explaining that is the whole like nice versus kind. It's very outwardly nice, but not necessarily genuine or kind. That's a whole thing in itself, so if you Google nice versus kind, you'll understand more about what I mean. But it's also important to remember that as much as I'm saying this, I understand that there's the irony because I'm complaining about women being their own worst enemy. There's so many nice girls in the fitness industry. A lot of the Alphalete girls that I've met are super nice. All the Alphalete girls I've met are super nice. Bailey, who I haven't met, she's got a huge following and she's always been so nice and so kind to me. Christine is another really nice person. I know a lot of other people in the industry, and there are good women in the industry. There's nice girls out there.
Like, something that's really been bugging me recently is people being accused of body checking, just posting a selfie, or posting a fit check on TikTok, or posting, God forbid, a little video of their body and how they look. Body checking is like a compulsive behaviour that gets in the way of your day-to-day life. You know, setting your phone up to see how you look from different angles, and maybe you probably wouldn't even post an actual body check because it's a compulsive behaviour that you can't help doing, and it gets in the way of your day-to-day life. And I hate that that term is now being overused and thrown around to basically shame any woman in the fitness industry who posts a fucking selfie. Like, guys, come on. That's not body checking. And it's actually doing a real disservice to people who genuinely struggle with body checking. It's a compulsive thing. It's something that gets in the way of your day-to-day life, and it's a horrible thing to experience and to have to go through. And to throw this word around, a selfie is body checking. I understand it kind of, because yeah, you're seeing how your body looks and you like how your body looks, so you've posted it, but there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make someone evil. Why do we have to discredit someone's selfie and say that they're body checking? And I feel like some of the critiques of fitness influencers are well based, and they're fair and they're valid. And I'm not going to sit here and say no critique of any fitness influencer is valid at all, but some of them are definitely rooted in jealousy and ill intentions, because how the hell have we decided to correlate a simple selfie with body checking, please? That's a trend that just needs to die a death this year because of absolute bullshit, and like I said, doing a real disservice to people who genuinely struggle with body checking. I do also think we have to kind of dig deep and question why we want to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. Now, I've done the inner work on myself. I know why I have the goals that I have, and I know why I feel the way that I feel about things. I know why I do like certain things, I know why I don't like certain things, and so that's why for me, when this whole, oh, let's be skinnier again trend tried to resurface last year, it didn't really affect me because that's just not my path, it's not my journey, and it's something that I've tried so hard to move away from, I'd never go back to it, sort of thing. We need to kind of think and question, why do we have the goals of, you know, the tiniest possible waist and the biggest possible bum? Is it because we genuinely want to look like that, or is it because we feel like that's the standard now? And especially if you're going to go and get surgery to look that way, a BBL is something that is very hard to undo once it's been done. And if it's just like your preferred look and you are confident that it's your preferred look and it's nothing to do with the current body trend, because the slim thick body trend is, in my opinion, I know Heroin Chic tried to make a resurface, but to me the slim thick body trend is still very much the body trend. You know, people are getting things like skinny BBLs, or like, what's it called, like the country club BBL. If that trend changes, are you then going to want to change how your body looks? Which I suppose, to be honest, is fine, but I feel like we should, it's so hard nowadays to make a decision on what goal you want to work on with your fitness. How do you want to look? Why do you want to look that way? And it's so hard to make that decision because we are bombarded with a certain ideal from social media.
I always like to see if there is something I can use to back up my videos, and I was already aware of this study. I don't know why I didn't speak about it in this video. However, as you can see on the screen, there is a study. You can go and read the whole thing. You can read the limitations and all that sort of stuff. It's definitely not perfect, but it's a good talking point and a good bit of research for what I'm discussing. So to go over it very, very quickly, this study had 402 undergraduate women. A lot of my audience fits this kind of age range, kind of like 18 to 24. And I'm sure a lot of other fitness influencers, their audience will be a very similar sort of age range. So yeah, this study, they had 3 separate groups, and then they had a control group. They had a group that would be exposed to thin ideal images, another one exposed to slim thick, another one fit ideal, and then a control group. So with this study, they did find that comparing to all these sort of body ideal images led to greater weight and appearance unhappiness / body image, which does also reconfirm what we already know, which just focusing on aesthetics is not really great for your mental health, and it's not really a good idea to be having people down as body goals. It can make you feel worse about yourself. What's most interesting about this is that the group that were exposed to the slim thick ideal images in particular experienced more dissatisfaction than those looking at the thin ideal images. Now, it's important to note that the women who reported moderate or high levels of perfectionism, because that's something else they looked at to see if it was a driving force when it comes to appearance, those individuals did experience greater dissatisfaction in the slim thick condition than in the others or in the control condition. So that does suggest that we do have a kind of temperament element to it, and if you're more that way, that perfectionism kind of way inclined, which I do think a lot of women in general are, just because of how we're raised and all that sort of stuff, you are more susceptible to experiencing dissatisfaction looking at things like the slim thick body ideal imagery. So yeah, overall this study kind of suggests what I'm already talking about, which is that the drive to achieve body ideals is shifting to the slim thick body type, and it being shifted to this slim thick body type may actually be more detrimental to women's body image than previously, where it might have been the fit ideal, so like the shredded, very lean girls, or the thin ideal, think like back to the Tumblr days. I'm not saying those aren't harmful, because I do think they're harmful, but I find this study interesting and I wanted to put it in because queen of talking shit and then backing it up in the wise words of Cardi B. But yeah, you can read the full study. I'll leave it linked below.
Like I said, last year I had the worst year of my life with body image as a result of, to be honest, trying to fit into a standard which I'm only ever going to fit to a certain extent. I can only grow to a certain extent. My bone shape and stuff means I'm never going to have super round hips. I have like the smaller waist, the wider hips, but I don't have round hips. I actually have quite angled hip dips, which is actually something that I don't mind anymore. I'm not going to sit here and say I love it. I'm more towards body neutrality than I am body positivity. I think it's a healthier way of going about things. It's hard to fucking admit that as someone who knows how much goes on behind the fitness industry. Lighting, angles, posing, surgery, fillers, editing. I know how much of this shit is smoke and mirrors, and even for me, I was still getting caught up in it, and I've only literally opened up about that this week. It's been something that, as a coach, as someone that, and I don't like saying this, but I do get messages from people saying they look up to me. People who look up to me, that's really fucking hard to admit. I felt embarrassed to admit it. Like, I know how much stuff of this is smoke and mirrors, and it still fucking got to me. So I dread to think what happens with other people. Everything in this industry just feels so much about how you look, and it's fucking draining. You can go and watch videos from people saying why I stopped being a fitness influencer to learn how draining that is, to have everything based on how you look. And if you don't, almost feels like if you don't fit the look that's in right now, people are just not interested. And I guess that's kind of just how life works. Tough titties, you can't always be hot shit, but it certainly feels sometimes like quite a vapid space. Not entirely. I don't want this to come across as I hate the entire fitness industry, because I don't. But the wider fitness industry I'd struggle with, and I feel like that's what I'm talking about here. But yeah, you only have to watch those videos to realise a lot of this is about how you look. And a lot of the reasons why people leave or move away from a certain style of training. You see it all the time. People move away from a certain style of training, or they move away from posting content or a certain type of content. They go from fitness towards lifestyle, and it's because it can be very draining, everything being about how you look. Everything. And I feel so fucking infuriated and sorry for women who are trying to get into the fitness industry, and at the moment it feels like the only way to fucking grow your page is to just post pictures of your arse. And I love a good bum picture. I fucking love a good bum picture, and I'm not saying that is the only reason why people post bum pictures, because some of these people have already got like 500,000 followers. They've already got the following. They don't need to do it anymore. But for people that are just starting out, it makes me sad, because it's so frustrating that we can't just grow a following and grow a female audience and grow the right audience by posting other things, but other things just don't do as well. So even if you try to break away from that, especially if this is your job or this is something that you're trying to make your job, you end up going back to it. And like, people can judge fitness influencers all they like for the content that they post, but we as a society have kind of reinforced the content that they post. So until that changes, don't expect the content that people post to change, and don't judge them either, because it's the content that does well. Why would they not post it? And the girl who did a video that kind of inspired this video ramble chit chat about the fitness industry, being a woman in the fitness industry, she was saying that she decided that she really wanted to grow her platform. I think her Instagram, she was saying, last year, and she grew it to like 100k. But she did that, and she said herself, she was like, I did that by posting pictures of my bum because they would do better, but then I've ended up with the wrong following. And I feel like not enough women who are going into this industry or trying to get into this industry realise how many women are in that same position. So if anything, let this be like almost like a warning to not go down that path, because you could end up with the wrong following. And if you do intend on doing something like OnlyFans, it's perfect, because you've got your audience there and you are going to make bank, baby girl. You're going to make bank. But if you have no intentions of doing the OnlyFans content, or, you know, private websites, subscription services for that kind of content that's going to cater to that audience, all you have is a number and no way to monetize it. Because when brands are asking you for your demographics, it's not the right demographics. Let's say you've got like 1 million followers, even if your following is like 20% women, you can probably actually still get away with it, because that's still a lot of women. That's like, what? If you've got 1 million followers, that's still 200,000 women. That's a lot of women for brands to be getting their products in front of the eyes of. But if you don't reach that level, all you end up with is really weird comments, really weird messages. And even from like a personal safety point of view, some of these people are really unhinged. I know people who've had absolute horror stories happen to do with like stalking and all that sort of stuff, and it's come from social media. I feel like I'm just kind of trying to lift the veil on what it's actually like being a woman in the fitness industry. And yes, certain things work to our advantage, but certain things that might work to our advantage also work to our disadvantage. I feel like people need to give women in the fitness industry less of a hard time, because as much as you want to sit and judge people for the kind of content they're putting out, first of all, it does well. Second of all, you might be sick of glute workouts, but I'm telling you, it gets requested probably 80% more than upper body workouts. And then when people do post, you know, other sort of content, it doesn't do as well. So then they're back to square one with it. I just feel like at the moment, as a woman, the fitness industry is a very strange space to be in. And so like, for me personally, my experience, especially with like the whole like men thing, like I changed the way I do my thumbnails now. I do different content. Does it get the views it used to get? No. But I feel like I'm getting the right audience. I feel like hopefully I'm nurturing the audience that I do have. I feel like I'm providing value, and you know, there's a difference between posting content that may end up on the wrong side, and you know, a certain type of person may gravitate towards, and pandering to that kind of audience. And pandering to that audience is just something that I don't want to do. I have no intentions of making an OnlyFans, and I have nothing against that, but I have no intentions of doing that. and I want it to be really clear, like crystal clear, that my content is for the girlies. It's for the girlies only. If men want to watch too, that's fine, but I don't want this weird male audience anymore. And if you are someone who is trying to get into the fitness industry or is currently in the fitness industry and you're really struggling with the wrong kind of people watching your shit, be mindful of the content you are putting out. It sucks that I even have to say that, because you should be able to post whatever the fuck you want without getting weird comments or weird messages or feeling like your safety is going to be put at risk. You should be able to do that, but unfortunately that's not the world that we do live in. And so be mindful about the content you're putting out there, be intentional about the content you're putting out there, choose thumbnails wisely, choose covers wisely, choose angles wisely, try and get it in front of the right kind of eyes, because a viral video only really means something if it gets you the right eyes on it. If it's the wrong eyes, it means nothing. It means very little. So be mindful and intentional about the content that you are putting out, and if you ever want to speak to anyone, or you're struggling, or God forbid your videos do end up on the wrong side, or your content ends up on the wrong side, and you're struggling and you want to speak to someone and you feel like people in your real life won't get it, I get it. I know how fucking horrible it is, and you can always message me and I will try and help you. I'll try and advise you. I'll give you some advice on content, whatever. I will try and help you in any way that I can. And for people who are kind of more consumers of the fitness industry, I would encourage you to follow people that, first of all, look like you. I'm not saying they have to be your twin, but if you are someone who's naturally built, very, very slim, very, very narrow, I wouldn't recommend that you fill your feed full of people who are naturally, you know, thicker, or who have had things like BBLs, or are just built very, very differently to you. If you are someone who's going to draw those comparisons and you're going to look more at physical rather than personality, I'd recommend that you fill your feed with people who look like you. And the same goes the other way around. If you're someone who's naturally on like the curvier side, the thicker side, I wouldn't recommend that you fill your feed full of like the long, lean Pilates girlies if you are that way inclined to go down the route of comparison and try and fit yourself in a kind of box that you probably won't fit in. Not like size wise, I'm just saying like hypothetically, like it's a box that you don't fit into that look, because if all you're consuming is people who look nothing like you, it's probably not going to do you any favors up here mentally. Another thing would be to follow people who you find genuinely inspiring and follow people for them rather than just what they look like. This is something that I'm very, very, very intentional about. I used to follow people, loads of people for body goals, and I don't do that anymore. I follow people for their personality, for the value they provide. You know, if they're super good looking and gorgeous bunda and all that sort of stuff, it's a bonus, but I follow people for their personality and what they can provide, and people that make me feel good, make me feel inspired, make me feel motivated. I like the content that they produce. It doesn't have a negative impact on me. Another thing would be, if you are someone who consumes a lot of TikTok content, try and gravitate more towards educational TikTok content. I think there's an account called like Wilson Coaching or something. It's a girl, she's from the UK, and her content is super educational. Like, it's just very, 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 very educational. And I love her content. I think it's really, really good. I can't remember her name exactly, but I think it's like Wilson Coaching or something. And the girl whose video I watched, she was saying at the end, you know, go more towards long form content. And I actually really agree. That's why I love YouTube so much, because YouTube feels a lot more about the person rather than what they look like. TikTok feels a lot more aesthetics focused than personality focused. Generally speaking, I'm not saying completely, but generally speaking, it does feel that way. So I would definitely recommend, as she said, to go more towards long form content. Find creators that are like inspiring, who have really good, like, you know, if you want to be inspired work wise, really good work ethic, post educational stuff that you want to learn more about, just make you feel happy, give off good vibes, that sort of stuff, because you're probably also going to learn a lot more, and you're going to have a lot more context. If it is about progress, if it is about the way that someone looks, they're going to be able to give a lot more context in long form content and probably set expectations better than they are in like a 10-second cute TikTok transformation. I will still do the cute 10-second TikTok transformations because they're just cute, but I am trying to kind of move away from that. Like on TikTok now, I'm doing like a bit more. I'm doing like 3-minute videos on like sharing things I've learned from therapy and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was just my little rant / chat about being a woman in the fitness industry, my experience, my thoughts, how I felt in the industry the past year in particular, and kind of some advice to you guys, because I'm assuming if you watch my content, you probably watch fitness content, and I'd love to have a discussion about this down below. We can talk about it, we can chat. Thank you for watching, thank you for sticking by me, whether the content is about how I look or it's just me sitting and chatting. These videos don't tend to do as well, but I really like doing them. I like having open, honest conversations. Like I said in this video multiple times, I'm guilty of some of this stuff. I've perpetuated some of this stuff. I'm not negating that. This is more just an open conversation, and I want to have an open conversation in the comments as well. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to and you haven't already, and I will see you in...
And then my camera cut out and I've got no idea why, but yes, thank you for watching. And what I was about to say was I will see you in the next video, which will either be an Alphalete review because they are restocking on the 14th, some old colours like hazelnut, whale blue, pink, scarlet, all that sort of stuff, chocolate is restocking, or it will be my full week of workouts. But yes, thank you for watching the video. And I just want to say as well, if you ever need advice, whether you are consuming fitness content or you are trying to make fitness content, you want to ask me questions, pick my brains, you are more than welcome to always message me. I try to respond to all my messages, and I pretty much do. It might just take me a couple days, and yeah, I will see you in my next video.